Welcome back, conversators, to the 6th episode of KTCG Radio Podcast.
That's right. We're the podcast that can guarantee you love. We can guarantee that you won't end up like Derek Jackson. And we're talking about dating this episode. Dating advice, actually. And disclaimer, we're not professionals. We're not
even close.
responsible for your relationships or whether or not you use our advice to actually do something with it. We're not responsible for that.
Nope.
This is just an episode of us talking about our relationship experiences and what we've done, what we've experienced, and what we just want to share to the public. You got anything else to add?
No, that's pretty much it. I'm glad you threw that little disclaimer in. Don't come for me, okay? In the comments.
Yep. And so we're going to be basically breaking this episode up into phases to basically organize everything. So I guess this episode was mainly my idea. And I'm inviting Gemise to the conversation. The three phases are basically, liking someone, that initial phase of you realizing your feelings. What else do you think is in phase one?
Of liking someone?
Yeah. Or like phase one of like beginnings of love in a relationship.
Oh, there's a lot of like, what would you consider? I mean, when you like someone, you're just trying to figure out whether or not they like you back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, you could do it's a multitude of things. It's like a game of catch.
Okay. And then phase two is going to be the acceptance/rejection. Of course, if you are met with rejection, phase two would be the end of the cycle. But if you were lucky enough to get accepted, we will be talking about what to expect. Potentially your first few months of a relationship. Have you ever thought of anything else besides just liking that person?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things that go into actually dating and realizing that person likes you back.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I'm just gonna echo what you said. I feel like when you like someone, it's like, oh my god, it feels so nice and flirty, but then it's like, it gets real fast.
Yeah, it definitely does get real.
Like, it gets real.
And then phase three would be dating, first 6 months and beyond. What? I mean, to some people it is hell. Even getting that acceptance may be the wrong choice.
Yeah.
And we're definitely gonna talk about that in this episode. So enough of the intro, and let's jump right into it. So, phase one, liking somebody. What do you think? How have you liked somebody? What has gone through your mind?
I think I don't know if because I feel like I think people get a lot of things mixed up, like between you liking someone and you finding someone attractive. Like, what's the big difference between the two, right? Like, I
think that
because usually you just look at, I don't know. For me, when I've liked people, it's been off of just first impression, which is seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's then later on it probably becomes.
I mean, for me, liking someone, it can involve, of course, it involves attraction.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's more than attraction because I feel like you can be attracted to people, and once you get to start talking to them, then you realize that they might not have a high IQ as you wanted, or they're not, as artistically creative that you expected them to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like liking someone is that environment or mindset where you're solidified that you've actually okay, this person might be the one that I want to be with.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
That's fine. I mean, we can definitely delve into that.
Yes.
And so, when you like somebody, there's always I would say, how should I put it? That state in where, okay, there's a point where I'm gonna eventually confess to this person, right?
Maybe.
But what happens when you don't confess and you're just in that phase of where, okay, if I do tell this person I like them, this can happen.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't tell this person, that could happen.
Yeah.
And I, like the scientist that I am, I have quoted this like Schrodinger's thoughts. Like, if you don't understand the concept of Schrodinger's cat, which is basically, you have this box of poison,
Okay.
and then a cat is placed into it, and you close the box. And the fact that you close the box, that instance, that cat can either be alive or dead. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then Schrodinger's cat is the belief that that cat is in both realities. It could be alive or dead and dead. That's the important fact. So when you don't tell somebody, you're in a state where you're accepted and rejected at the same time. And I feel like that can drive people crazy.
Yeah, because you need to know.
Yeah, I feel like people who don't know can get obsessed with their thoughts, and then they may make the situation worse for them in the long run. I don't know if you have.
I don't know. I guess it would depend. I mean, because we're not. Think about it. I mean, your base, nice coquette here. I feel like when I've flirted with people, like it's just been like I haven't been like stressed about like, ooh, do they like me? Oh my god, am I doing the right thing? Oh my gosh, like I haven't been pressed or like focused on what's gonna happen next. It's more so like, oh, okay, we're flirting. Let me just see what happens.
Yeah.
Right. I think when it becomes like that is if like I've had crushes. I think I have a very difference between like there's a crush and there's like somebody that I'm like interested in or like I like them, right?
Okay.
Like for me, probably the crush would probably make you do things or like go out of your way and make you do things that you probably shouldn't even be doing. Like that'll drive you crazy. Like you'll probably end up just running down the hallway just to see him or something. Like that's very extra. But I don't know. I guess it would depend how like driven your like feelings are for this person.
Okay. I mean, the simp talking. I've always thought that being nice would make somebody like you.
Yeah.
And so like I was what the young kids would call a girl clown. It's basically a dude that would just do anything for the girl just to like feel that reciprocation of like, oh, there's a chance that she may like me. And I feel like that's dangerous for people who, I mean, I for one had lower self-esteem in high school.
Yeah.
So I felt like I needed that acceptance from a woman in order to feel validated as a man. And I felt like that definitely gave me a dangerous mindset of where instead of working on myself, I'm putting all of this energy into being as presentable as I can be, and not really making myself interesting to that person. And so I'm just this dude that's just nice, not really just one dimensional, not really depth, no depth to my character.
So what is it like? It's like you're doing most of the work.
Not that I'm doing most of the work,
but you're only showing her.
I'm the only person on the payroll. So like it's like putting myself in a way where I believe that my nice actions will give me a response that I deserve because I'm being nice to this person. And
what like coming to the realization that it's also other very different factors that come into place?
Yeah, of course. Like the other person's interest, who she's attracted to, she may not be attracted to me. I may not be as good looking, but
or maybe she doesn't care that you're nice.
Yeah, that's also true. And then the other factor is that just because you're nice doesn't mean you deserve that other person's time. even though they feel like it because you feel like you're giving energy to this friendship or like relationship, like one-sided relationship, and you feel like being nice is an extra step.
Yeah.
How come you're not reciprocating that?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be dangerous because then you feel like you're entitled.
Yeah.
To that person's time.
Yeah.
Has any guy ever made you feel like they felt like they were entitled?
Basically, that they felt like I should have reciprocated something back.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've talked to a lot of like nice guys, but I don't think people have like gone out of their way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or they walked up to me or they text me and been like, "Oh, I did this. Why are you not doing this?" or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I mean, obviously, there's the whole reciprocation of like, oh, if I'm like doing this for her, like I'm gonna want some sex. Like there's a lot of steps that some guys take to try to get you to the point where they're like to justify that they should be able to have sex with you.
Okay.
So I think that is one thing. But what I was gonna add on to you was that this whole like idea of reciprocation. I feel like it's very like I feel like if you want to be nice, then that's what you want to do.
Okay.
Like you have to genuinely want to do something because you can't expect people to do the same thing back for you.
Yeah.
Like that, and it's hard. It's really hard to think that way because it's like, I mean, I guess the universe tells us that like we do good things will come. But it's like, I guess if you're being nice to someone, you want them to be nice back to you. If you're being mean to them, you would expect them to be mean back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like we expect all these negative things, but then it's like in reciprocity, right? We expect the negative things to happen. Obviously, if I punch you in the face, I'm expecting you to punch me back. But it's like, oh, I'm being nice to you. You need to be nice to me. But you don't. What if I'm having a bad day? What if I don't want to be nice? What if something happened in the past that I don't want to be nice?
Yeah.
Like that, it's very difficult.
Okay.
I think like that's definitely true. But it's definitely dangerous. Like if you want to be nice to someone, just do it genuinely from the bottom of your heart. Like that's what you want to do, not because you want to get something back from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like girls and guys approach relationships differently, or
in terms of what?
In terms of like these steps, right? Liking somebody. Do you think girls ever feel entitled because they're being nice, or is that like an ego of the guys?
If they're being entitled,
like nice girls, for example, like give their time, they do anything for the dude.
I guess it would be like if it's considering we're talking about the liking someone phase one. Mm-hmm. I guess it would be more so like her thought process would be like why doesn't he like me already? Mm-hmm. Like if I'm already doing all these things, what's missing in a way? So like I feel like that's the reciprocity part right there. Like if I'm doing all of this, why is none of this working? Like what is it? What's going on? And which I feel like is probably the same for guys too. No, like just trying to figure out why she isn't attracted or like trying to tell you that she loves you.
Yeah, I feel like those thoughts obviously come in mind.
Yeah.
But, and speaking generally, I think that nice girls it's almost like the reverse. So like guys may feel entitled, girls may feel like they're missing something or they're not good enough to get his attention.
Yeah, what's missing.
That's just my thinking of the situation. I don't know if that's true because you've never really pursued anybody.
Yeah,
now.
Why are you allowing?
Because you're not in the war. You're just the queen in the castle, just waiting for the warrior to arrive, basically.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I was always told that I guess in my mind, my mom never sat there and told me like, oh, like we never spoke about a guy I liked, and I was like, oh, and she was like, oh, maybe you should like tell him, or maybe you should let him know. Like, I think in my process or the things that have gone and have happened throughout my relationships and stuff, like just the whole just talking with a boy, what does that mean? What happens next? I think it was always the guy coming to me.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. Like I could have a crush, like I could crush on one boy, probably like middle school, high school, and all this other stuff, but they were always coming. So I was like I walk down the street, on, social media, it would be something. But I never sat there and like reached out to someone and was like, yeah, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. I've always waited. Or like it's just happened to come from them first and then I'm like, okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
But you have liked somebody and waited for them to like approach you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a flirt, so I flirt my way into these things.
So in that mindset, was one of these guys your friend? Like friends first before liking?
Before liking them?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say friends. You saying before you?
What do you mean?
Are you saying before you?
No, not
just in general.
Yeah, just in general. Like, have you?
No, none of them were friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm highly sure of that one. None of them were friends, so they were all somewhat like a stranger, or I knew them from school, but I wouldn't consider them a friend. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not like we hang out. It was more so. If it started off as something, it started off as like the whole basis would be probably getting into a relationship or something, some sort of situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my experience as the Simp, I don't know. I feel like being friends first wasn't ever a choice.
Yeah.
And so, like, it took me time to like somebody. But once I liked them, that's when things got difficult. That's when I was caught in them Schrodinger's thoughts. And so, like in phase one, liking someone, I've always had the issue of like potentially losing a friend.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult for me to. That's the main catalyst that put me in those thoughts. Like, oh my God, if I were to like not confess, and then I'm in that cycle, that down spiral. And so I've never really had the space to like think of the benefits of being friends first, because like most of the time these girls weren't liking me back. So obviously the only other way to like see who they were and know about them was to become friends.
Yeah.
And luckily I had that ability to make friends. And so when my feelings grew, it just got harder and harder for me to like see them with like other dudes and then hugging on them. Like I was just like, damn, I wish that could be me. And
oh my gosh. That's so terrible.
Just one note to the conversators, the audience. I feel like that's important because I don't want to say like your friendships are more important than how you feel. You always got to put your feelings first.
Yeah. Because
that's like if you're emotionally sensitive, your emotions may drive your personality. Like if you're sad, that's going to affect your whole day. So when you're liking someone, take the time to think thoroughly about this. Like, do you care about the relationship first? Or do you care about the friendship first?
That's so difficult.
Because it is difficult, but like you have to be able to weigh that. Because you confess, that may make the person feel weird to be around you. And you can't help that. And it's unfortunate. I mean, if that person is a really good friend, they'll probably need some space, and then they come back to you and be like, okay, I don't like you back, but I believe that we can still be good friends. And it's up to you to like really weigh that choice, that decision, and realize whether or not that would be a healthy scenario for you. If you don't think you can hold out, if your feelings are too strong, I recommend that you give yourself some space, take some time. Definitely come back to that person and explain why do you think that situation won't work out. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like that's something I realized along the way that you gotta be, if you really love this person and you really care about them, and if they care about you too, the friendship will last. And then you just have to realize that those things are momentary, and eventually you'll find a way to move on. And that's up to you and your fate, your future. So don't ever think that decisions you're making can like completely change your life, but just think about it. And on the flip side, also think about like what your relationship would look like. Yeah, yes, you like this person, but how would that look like if you thoroughly know them? Like, have you ever experienced liking somebody and then imagining it in your own way, or have you never experienced that at all?
I don't think I've imagined it.
Yeah.
Like, because I try, I guess, like to put up this like high expectation. I mean, yeah, there are some high expectations, but I feel like you can't vision anything. Like, you don't know what's going on in their head. You don't know what they plan to do. Like, you can hope that this is what it will look like, right? That it would work, it would last long. Yeah, you may argue, yeah, this may happen and things of that nature, but I think it's really hard to sit there and envision like certain things. Like, I guess in some cases you can be like, can you envision yourself kissing them? Like, those are things to think about. Like, can you envision yourself having sex with them? Can you envision those like things that like if you're a friend with them?
Yeah.
Can you move to that next stage? Like, can you even interact with them in that form of way? Or do you think she'll be able or he'll be able to interact with you in that way?
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of it. Right? I mean, I guess it depends. Depending on where you're.
Yeah, of course it depends. I mean, not everybody's gonna think about how they're compatible with this person because they're just infatuated with the person.
Yeah.
And so it's not like everybody thinks logically like, will we really work out? I'm pretty sure people don't think like that.
Like, do we have things in common? I mean, yeah, you may have something in common, but like, have you ever argued about a serious topic before? Like, can you picture yourself, even as you're a friend, like what? Because those things are transferable.
Yeah.
Your relationship as a friend, and then your relationship as a couple, like they transfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's more in a sense like if I'm dating this person, like I really like them, but you're right. Like, have you seen them when they're angry? Have you seen them interacting with waiters, people who serve them? Are they assholes sometimes?
Yeah.
Does that turn you on weirdly? Those different components is why I recommend like be friends with this person. There's a way to like be friends and still keep the relationship sexy in a way, so it doesn't friend zone happen or whatever.
That's what coquettes do.
Yeah.
We friend zone. But you know what? I'm sitting here thinking. I'm like, I feel like for me, and the coquette is speaking, obviously. I feel like, and for some people, they may think like you can act one way as a friend, but like now that I'm in a relationship with you, like I'm a whole totally different person.
Yeah.
Because I'm at this point, I've set these standards for what a friend should be, and I've set these standards for what a boyfriend or like how I'm gonna act around that person. So I think that's really difficult, to get to that point of like, so how do you, I guess, how would you know if even being friends with that person is even worthwhile at that point? Because they could show you a whole totally different kind of person. Like, she may act, like, say, for instance, you're at the dinner table and they're like, yeah, you guys are cool, you're chilling and stuff like that. And then as you sit there and you become a couple at that point, she's very like, I want dessert.
Yeah.
Like very, very like entitled. Imagine now she's very entitled and she's like, this is what a boyfriend should do, and this is. I guess you could play around and kind of hint at what kind of guy she likes, but she's not gonna tell you that. She may or she may not tell you depending on what the conversation is. But like you would have to be digging in, and to me that just sounds like so much work.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want to be digging in and trying to figure out what's going on? That's homework. You get enough homework, you get enough stuff to think about in your own life. Like that just sounds very crucial.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, like you just gotta confess, or you just leave it alone at that point. If I gotta be doing deep diving, to me, that would bottle my head.
Okay. All right. So put yourself in the Simp's shoes for a
Got
second.
it. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you like this person.
Yes.
Like your heart pounds every time you're next to them. Like you just want to be next to this person at night, morning, just in school, at work. You just want to be next to this person at every moment of the day. Is there ever a scenario you feel like people who are infatuated at that level, would they ever choose to just stay friends? Without other outside, like their personal choice?
No, they're not going to.
You know, at all.
To stay friends?
Yeah. You think that person...
I feel like you could stay friends.
Yeah.
But that's hard on you because you're very infatuated with this person. Like you would have to turn your head around to be like, it's like, yeah, I like this person, but I don't know if she likes me back, so I have to remain as friendly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you have to hold back so much, like how you mentioned, if you see her hug another guy, like you're like, damn, I wish that was me. Mm-hmm. Like that just, I don't know, it breaks my heart. Like that just sounds very, it's very saddening. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, but it's real. I'm pretty sure. Like, there's a lot of situations like that, and I do feel like guys, simps, like they do most of the work at that point. But it's like you work so hard at this point just to see if this person likes you. Then you're gonna have to work 10 times harder. Yeah. Past that point.
Okay. I mean,
that's a hard one. It's really hard.
It definitely is. I just feel like, and I'm not saying like any of this stuff is easy.
I'm just naming it.
But for me, I feel like in that situation, you might be right. Like it might be really difficult for somebody to be like, I really like this person, but I see certain red flags and I don't think this is going to work. I think it's better off if we stay friends. So I guess in that mindset, we turn dumb. Yeah. Like our IQ lowers because we're really infatuated with this person. And I feel like that is what makes it difficult for people to like really think about the amount of work that goes into a relationship. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you've ever thought about how tasking the relationship was when you were younger, when you were letting these guys chase you and you've actually reciprocated one of their feelings?
No, you know what? You said how taxing it could be on you?
Yeah, like, I don't think anyone thinks about like...
No, I don't think anyone ever thinks about the amount of work. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the task or like the heaviness of it on your shoulders differs depending on who you're with at that point in time. Okay. I feel like that's because I feel like high school, like that stage there, like being with people that might be immature, I feel like I was putting in most of the work to kind of keep it afloat, or like you know what I mean, like to even make it go as far as what it needed to be. Mm-hmm. And it might, I mean, they might have been putting in some sort of work, but it felt very tasking on me to kind of keep the relationship together, right? Mm. And I feel like when you meet someone who's mature, it's tasking both ways. Mm. Like it's really heavy then, right? Because it's like depending on the seriousness of the relationship, it's like, damn, like I can't fuck up. Like you just have no choice but to like you have to listen to this person. You have to really read into them. You have to think about what next move you're gonna make. You have to is this gonna affect them? Like it's like the seriousness of the relationship. I feel like does play a huge role in that.
Okay.
Because you get to a point where you're not thinking about yourself or like anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to think about the other person and what you say, what you do.
Yeah.
What's the next step? Like, can you bring this up to them? Like, it's a whole process. Like, it's work.
Yeah.
It's like real work. 24/8.
I think in retrospect, I've never thought about how tasking relationships can be. I've always romanticized it. I always thought like it would go as smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
And we don't factor in our complete personalities because you're never really given 100% of a person, especially when you're just friends. They can give you like a certain piece of them.
Yeah. A piece.
Unless you're like friends with this person for years,
yeah,
you're never really seeing 100% what it takes that person, like the amount of work it takes to keep the relationship alive, make sure it doesn't die out, you know. And I think like it's when we're young, it's it's bittersweet because at the same time you're not putting all of this information into just dating this person. And because I feel like if people thought logically of like actual relationships, I don't think it would be like a different type of environment. People would probably not pursue more. They're probably like, yes, that's not something for me. And so when we're young, we romanticize dating and we just believe that it will work out. Like this person will give me 100%, I will give 100%, and it works out. But I think the more experience we have with dating, the more we realize that, oh shit, yeah, this is like a job.
Yeah, I agree.
This is gonna take time. This is gonna take money. This is gonna take experience in and of itself.
Yeah.
And I feel like the cure to that is good communication. Asking the right questions and being open minded to that person's feelings and what they like and what they don't like. I think that that may work.
No, I think it. I like echo that one too. I just feel like if people were to speak up more instead of like, because I feel like a lot of what it becomes is like you don't tell the person what you need to tell them, and you more so tell your girl or your guy what's going on. And it's like that's what makes the relationship even harder. It's like if you're not, how are they supposed to know that they need to change, or how are they supposed to know that you're feeling this way if you don't express yourself?
Yeah.
And it's like if you don't speak up, you might not speak up just because you're like, oh, I don't want nothing to happen. I just don't. But then at that point, you'll be 10 years in and it'll just be dreadful. You'll be dealing with the same foolishness that you've been dealing with for years.
Yeah.
Like, so I definitely, the communication will help. Just speaking, like expressing yourself at some point, no matter what. Especially it may be ugly.
Definitely. I mean, especially for like the younger generation. I don't know if we have young people watching this, but definitely try to get your vocabulary up. Like, make sure you know the right things to say, especially in a relationship.
Give an example.
I mean, these are things that I've learned. I feel like from my communications class. I don't think a lot of people listen, like actively listen. When you ask somebody, like, what do you do for fun, and they like explain that to you, you probably in your mind is probably like, okay, get to the point. Let me pick up like these key things so I can like give her a gift later.
I
But
still do
like, I
that.
feel like
I'm a straight to the point kind of person.
like when you cut to the chase like that mentally, you're probably missing out on things that, um, like little things like you feel like you can pick up just from the way your partner speaks about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And you can probably ask them more, and then that becomes more of a conversation later. And so to communicate, I think one thing that helps is to just shut up and listen. Like, see how they describe their day, see how they describe their hobbies, things that they like to do, and see where that takes you in terms of like, how can I show this person that I really like them by doing certain things for them? Maybe it's an act of service, maybe it's like gift giving. And we can talk about like love languages at a later time or a later episode. But I think listening is key. And I think that it's a moving force because once you take your time to like truly take in if like your partner has a problem with certain things and you do your best to solve that problem, and they show that you've actually listened and cared enough for you to solve it, I think that will take you a long way. Do you think that there's something that is important for people who may not be as experienced with relationships from your times as a flirter?
Nice one. I don't know. I feel like I'm really big on like just gaining the experience.
Okay.
Like I think it might sound very bad, like jumping from like one person to the next person and so forth.
Yeah.
But I feel like
I think there's a healthy way to do that.
Huh?
I think there's a healthy way to do that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, make sure you're good first. I mean, we don't want like a rebound situation or for you to like go back into the same situation, bringing the same foolishness that you had in the prior one. But I feel like the more you meet people and you start to see different, like, because I feel like you'll learn how to have a conversation differently. You'll also learn, like, you'll pick up on certain things. Like, say for instance, if the person doesn't know how to have conversations and then text him what you doing every freaking hour of the day, and it's like, well, I already told you. Like, how many times do we need to tell you what you're doing?
Yeah.
It's like you get to see, like you learn a few things, like what's a nice way to open up this conversation? Like, what else can I do other than like flirt with her, or like what else can I do other than play like 21 questions? Like, get out of the like basic notion of like this is something that should be happening. I feel like just gain that experience. Yeah, in a healthy way, as you mentioned, in a very healthy way.
No, you have a point. I mean, definitely don't throw yourselves out there, but I feel like the more you date, the more you know, of course. That's just experience in general.
But the way it's like the way you date.
Yeah, the way you
gotta, it has to be very intentional.
But with people who aren't as fortunate of like in the dating atmosphere, definitely take some time to be self-reflective. I feel like when you ground yourself, know how you are, you know your hobbies, you know, or your likes, your dislikes, you know what makes you tick. People take that as like maturity. And like when you make yourself interesting by picking up a new hobby or traveling or experiencing the world for the first time, I feel like that makes you a more dimensional person. And that can elevate you.
What is this idea that we want more than one dimensional people?
I mean, when you're one dimensional, I feel, especially as like someone who was a girl clown, I was just a nice guy. Like I didn't really have any hobbies besides like playing games. I mean, now like that's pretty cool, but I didn't make myself interesting, and so what? What are you?
No, it's interesting that you frame it that way. Make yourself interesting.
Yeah, I mean, by make yourself interesting is like picking up things that you enjoy, you learn more about them, and like that passion that you get or you gain from doing the stuff that you love, that rubs off of people. If you can make that thing interesting and like you talk about it to other people, your friends, family, they'll be like, "Wow, you that's something you can do. That's something you believe in. And that's if you're passionate, that's what births drive, motivation. Like if you find something that you're passionate about, I feel like that leads to other characteristics.
So it's more so like just putting yourself out there and venturing to see your passion and like presenting that to other people instead. Like it's not like because you're not making yourself interesting. Like you're presenting your passion in a way, and then you're just seeing. I mean, because some people will dislike your passion a whole lot.
Yeah, of course, but I mean that's the beauty of this world. Like you don't have to fit the mold of one person, and so there's people that dislike your passion, and at the same time, there's people that may like your passion, and so when you make yourself interesting, you're basically because I don't think yeah it's definitely a way of life. It's not like people are just born with just okay, I gotta make myself interesting. Like that's gonna be on my agenda today.
Yeah.
But what I mean I don't mean it as like something negative. I mean for it to be something positive because if you do proceed to make yourself interesting, I feel that can take you places. Like you probably discover something you've never thought you'd ever like in your lifetime.
I agree.
Just by you making that first step. And so, I mean, there's some people that may like one-dimensional people, but at the same time, if your looks aren't going for you,
then you have to go other way.
And that's a lot of people. Not a lot of people are beautiful.
Yeah.
And at the at the downside of that, there's also the upside that your personality may be amazing, or you may play the guitar really nicely, or you may have like superior artistic ability, or you can juggle. Like you can do something that not everybody can do.
I get that.
And then once you pursue that, or once you get out your comfort zone, you know, put some experience on your life, people gravitate towards that, and you have a story to tell. That's essentially what I mean by make yourself interesting. And I feel like any present simp right now who's struggling to find like that reciprocation, work on you first. I feel like people put this negative aura around being single. Singlitude is the best opportunity because you don't have to wait on anybody's yes or no to do anything. You can travel. You can do anything you want on your own basis. You just need the money or you just need the time. And I think with me self-reflecting, I'm glad that in college I did take that time to like get out my comfort zone. And it was a push. It was definitely a push.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for phase one?
Of liking someone?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like what you mentioned just now was important as a coquette too. Like just taking the time to be self-reflective. Like as I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, as a coquette as myself, like I feel like the flirting and the letting the guys chase you was obviously coming from like you wanted people to adore you, or you just wanted someone to look at you, like you wanted to be acknowledged. And I feel like like I knew how I looked at that point, obviously. Like I could accept that, but it was like thinking about like always feeling like guys needed to just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And I feel like if need be, like there needs to be a gap of you just taking time to understand what it means for you to be single, or like for people to not be in your life or to be in your space, because I feel like you get to a point where, you know, as the young generation is, like, you're gonna get older, your body's gonna change, things are gonna happen, and I feel like a big piece of that is that after a while, your body may not look like how you want it to look like, but like you can't expect guys to continue to be chasing you, right? And so what are you gonna do when that time comes? So I feel like definitely you could still be self-reflective and like think about why do you want someone chasing you to begin with? Why do you want that? Like, you have to know what you're doing. Like, don't be diddle daddly like a deer in headlights passing by some dude's building just because you want him to pop out or you're hoping that he's standing there.
Was there a way that, in like retrospect, do you feel like you could have made yourself more interesting?
That I could have made my. You know what? It's interesting. I mean, I feel like, yes, I was a huge flirt and things like that, but I was also like, I was one of the like smart girls. Like that's how I found myself. Like, I mean, at that point, I was a smart girl. I didn't really like. It was just school. School was number one. Like, it was all I needed. And I feel like at that time, what would have made me interesting to the guys that I was in contact with, or like the guys that I liked or that I crushed on, was being a bad person, like just being a bad student, like doing all the things that I knew I shouldn't have been doing. Like that is what would have been interesting, because I was basically friend zoning all of the like guys that I wasn't really interested in. And I mean really friend zoning. But I don't know. I guess it's why it's difficult. Like, you see how you said your way of making yourself interesting is like getting people to, you know, like you're doing good things. Like you're finding a hobby, you're finding something, you're speaking about it as a passion. But like on my end, it's like I had to figure out how I could get this like bad boy to like me. It's like, how am I going to do that? I'm like too smart. Like, why is he so dumb? It's like things like that, which is really difficult. I mean, it's really hard, and I feel like that's where the conversation of like, I guess at that point, like, if you have to do certain things like that, then those people probably aren't meant for you, or you're probably picking the wrong kind of guy. And I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there: the Coquette, you can have fun all you want, okay, but the guy you're probably chasing is not the right one. He definitely is. All the people that you're friend zoning, one of them, or those might be your best relationships that you can be learning from at this point.
Definitely.
Because I feel like there was a lot of relationships that I've gotten into that have like, they push you to a point where you're like where are the good ones anymore? And it's not fun. It's breaking down on you, and it's not a good space.
I think with that we can move on to phase 2, acceptance and rejection. And so I want to talk about rejection first.
Okay.
Since that's the biggest, I think that's more hurtful than acceptance, of course. Have you ever been rejected?
No. Could we think of, well, that's like from the point we're thinking of rejection in terms of we've confessed, or someone has confessed, and they told me no. Yeah.
I'm not interested.
I don't think I've confessed. I've never confessed, so there was no next step of a rejection.
Oh, so you've never felt rejection?
No, I've never felt rejection.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've felt it from an interview.
Like 100,000 people just roll their eyes at you.
They just roll their eyes at me. Yeah. I mean, it's because I don't chase people. I've let it happen as it goes along. And I think it's mainly because, like, that wasn't the first thing on my mind. Like, a relationship, like, it was never oh, I need it. I like this person. I need to find, like, it's like I'm on a mission. You know what I mean? It was more so like a side thing. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Like, I would like it. I would adore it. Like, puppy love. Ooh, cute. That's nice. But, like, I was always so focused on, like, just school and hanging out and, like, chilling and just being who I was that I was, like, and, like, no one I've ever been interested in has pushed me to confess my feelings for them. So that's also important. I think that's probably why. Like, I haven't been to a place where I'm like shit, I need to tell him. I need to tell him that I like him. Like, I need to. Like, this is driving me crazy. Like, it's just been me flirting. And if they flirted back, obviously something, like, you must be interested in some form of way.
Yeah.
So that's what it's been like. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like a rejection and a breakup are just as equivalent.
Rejection and a breakup?
I feel like they're just as equivalent. I know there's a huge difference. Yeah. Because they're in two different spots and phases. And then for one, like, that's a hard hitting. Like, I can't imagine me confessing to someone, like, you know, like, imagine I'm sitting at the table with them and I'm like, I just want to tell you that I like you. Imagine people sending that through text message. Yeah. And they get rejected. I'm probably rejected people. And I know that shit feels bad. So you've been rejected. But I don't like, that feeling is always terrible. Okay. It's always terrible. Because I don't ever want to make anyone, like, feel bad about expressing themselves, which is, like, the friend zoning ones. Like, all of the people that I have friends with, that's basically a rejection. And I can only imagine what that feels like. It's not like I wanted to sit there and go, no, I'm not interested in you. Like, I'm genuinely just not interested. Like, yeah. I can't force myself to be that way because then it won't be really me. Okay. And I think obviously, like, people who do get rejected, like, they're not thinking about the other person and what their thought process is. But I guess, like, a huge part of that is, like, I don't know, for me, I would sit there and try to think, like, if this person rejected me, like, why would I even want to pursue it any further? Like, would it be their true self? Like, I don't want to force something that is just not going to work if they don't want it to work. You know what I mean? All right. I know it's hard to get there. It's most likely hard to get to that point, but, like, I feel like that's a good question to ask yourself. Like, if they rejected me, why would I want them past that point? Because I don't want anyone forcing themselves to like me or forcing themselves to want to, like, indulge in, like, activities with me. Like, they might just regurgitate and throw up and vomit being out with you. Like, that's just not fun.
I feel like that's a good point that you bring up. I mean, speaking from experience, like, I've definitely been rejected multiple times. But
you've confessed, like, you've told someone you like them and they were like,
and it took me a long time to confess. Like, confessing was just, that was work. That wasn't an easy task for me. But you brought up, like, why the people still like the person after they've been rejected.
No, of course. I mean, you're still gonna have those feelings. Okay. But I'm saying, like, it's gonna be hard for you to get to that point. Obviously, after you've finished expressing your sorrows and you're like, you're just sad and you're in a space, but, like, for you to make yourself feel better past that point, I feel like it's important for you to ask that question: if this person rejected me, why would I want to even, like,
that's true.
It's like, I just need to move on. Like, I can't pursue this situation any longer. Like, I want someone who's going to 100% want to be with me.
I think that applies to self-esteem. Yeah. Because some people feel like this person was the world to them. And that rejection just felt like the whole world just died. And so I feel like the level of your self-esteem and your experience of, like, actually dating, which is unfortunate because everybody's going to get rejected their first time. You're going to have your first rejection, and it's going to feel like the end of the world. But I promise you it's not. It's not. And as a person who's been constantly rejected, I've grown to understand feelings during that rejection. And I've grown to measure my self-esteem, and I began to like think about like why do I think so lowly of myself, and why do I feel like this person has so much weight in my life, even though we've only met for like 3 months, and that's how feelings can push you to that point. And it's difficult to quantify that. So I just want to tell people who are experiencing rejection, just work on yourself. Work on yourself, reflect, and don't blame that person, but try to become a better you so that the next time you like someone, you have more to present to that person. And realize that when you do become a better version of yourself, that person is still a person at the end of the day. And they can decide whether or not they're attracted to you.
Yeah.
So you're going to meet many, many, many no's if you're an average looking guy or an average looking girl, right? Because unfortunately, this world is run by beauty, looks, attractiveness. If somebody doesn't click with you just by looking at you, you're going to have to put in that extra work. And sometimes that extra work doesn't really work out. And you're going to have to move on. So prepare yourself. Think about that as a whole. Rejection is just the first step of you growing, of you maturing as a person. And you're realizing that at the end of the day, you're still breathing, you're still alive, and you still have your sanity as a person. Do you have anything else to add?
No, you like wrapped up the rejection portion.
Okay.
I don't want to get too sad.
I definitely don't want this to get too sad. I want it to be.
It seems like there's a lot of like you work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like trying to get yourself.
Because it's going to hurt, and it's you.
Yeah.
It's the way you feel towards the situation. I mean, the person doing the rejection may feel bad, but at the end of the day, if you're the one that put yourself out there, you're going to feel that hurt. Because you probably took you weeks, months to even muster up the courage to tell that person your real feelings.
Yeah.
And some people find their feelings really sacred.
I mean, would you say it would be, since I haven't experienced it, would you say it would be beneficial for someone to think about the things that they have done? Like the fact that they even must like put up the courage to even ask this person or to confess to this person these certain things. Like, should they focus on the fact of what they've accomplished to make themselves feel? Because you know,
that's definitely important. I'm not going to say no to that, but I feel like some people may not even think about that. Like they just confessed.
Yeah, I mean,
this person.
we get to a point where we're just like,
so
we're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about the simple fact that they rejected us, and we're not like which is.
Like that's it.
But this is a good you work, right? Like to acknowledge the things that you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, with your statement, I feel like it's definitely a place where that person can recognize their confidence in that moment, and definitely recollect what just happened, and be proud of yourself. You've confessed your sacred and valuable feelings to someone who's virtually a stranger.
That's difficult, man.
That's really difficult.
I'm sorry.
It's hard for us, people who chase, and the people who just stand there and get chased.
But you know, I think it depends on the type of person you are. I don't take risks. I'm not a risk taker. So like, if I go in there and I don't know that if there has to be a definitive answer at this point. So like if I'm going to it and I'm like, damn, like they could tell me yes, they could tell me no, they can tell me maybe, they can be like so they can be like, if you fix this, we can get it together. I don't have time for that.
Do you think it's also important for people to know that that person likes them back in order to confess? Should that be like a prerequisite?
It'll be. I feel like people will show you whether they like you like that or not, and they will.
You think it's the same for women? Because I heard women say, "Oh, I like play hard to get."
Yeah, and but you know, I feel like you have to interpret that because some women and they're playing hard to get. Like some of them are intentional, and some of them are just doing whatever they're doing. But I feel like some of those nonverbal cues or certain things being said can throw you off, and you'll be like, "Dang, I think does she like me or does she not like me?" I mean, I think it's a bit difficult at that point. I mean, I don't know who's playing hard to get anymore. Like, y'all just need to stop the foolishness.
Well, that's too childish. That's too old school.
Yeah, what are you playing hard to get for? I mean, if you like someone, you're gonna. For me, it would be like you would flirt with them. Like something, there would be an indicator. You know, like hanging out with them a lot, like sitting next to them. Like there's little indicators that could get you to a point where you're like, hey, maybe she does like me. Yeah. You know, like I feel like, or like maybe he does like, oh, maybe he does like me. Like there's certain, you can read people's nonverbal cues. I feel like a few of them to know whether or not they like you. Because if it's your friend and she kind of like, she's still like, or he or she is still like, kind of like pushed off. Like, do you hug them or do you give them a handshake? Like, what is the type of friendship you have? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there are specific cues that people get. Is she smiling a lot? But I mean, sometimes you can't even take that as something else. It's like you have to really think about it. Or like, and then showing yourself, like, has she shown parts, or has he shown parts of himself that have let you indicate, damn, they might think I'm a really, really, really good friend, but I don't know if they like me. It was like, I feel like you knowing is easier on you, but it's also very, I feel like I'm jealous of people that actually just open themselves up and just say like, I like you, and just let it happen. Because I feel like you've pushed the conversation just right then and there. Like you're not waiting, you're not holding off on it. You're just like, listen, like I don't know if you do, but I do, and so just let me know if you do. Okay. And I feel like, because then you'll be waiting. Who knows it? What if you can't read nonverbal cues? What if you can't pick up? Or what if you can't pick up certain like those little things that she's doing, or like certain like maybe like you guys do a thing like you give each other gifts, or like, but she only gives you a gift and she doesn't give anyone else, or he gives you a gift and he doesn't give anyone else. Like there's certain little things, like you know what I mean? It's like you do these special things for people, and like you don't know. And I feel like it's hard, like it's difficult.
I've heard you mention the most popular form of rejection, which is friend zoning. Yeah. Right. And as a simp, I've always believed the friend zone was an actual thing. But there was one, my colleagues back in high school, and like I feel like this was like there was like a dichotomy, like people who thought the friend zone existed and people who didn't. And the people who didn't, their perspective was like, there's no friend zone because it implies that a person owes you a relationship. Do you believe that that was true?
So if I put them in the friend zone, I feel like I owe them a relationship.
No. The victim of the friend zone. Because there's always the people who are victims of friend zoning. Okay. That believe that the friend zone exists, right? And so the people who didn't believe the friend zone existed thought that, or just believe that the people who do believe the friend zone exists just feel like they personally feels like they're entitled to.
They're entitled to a relationship.
Yeah, like that's what the friend zone denotes. I mean, I just believe those people were taking it too seriously. The friend zone is just you've been placed.
Yeah,
that's a bit
deep.
They don't like you back.
That's a bit deep right there.
Yeah.
Like, don't nobody.
Like I didn't know there was like a psychology class behind.
No, I don't. So that's psychology class.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've just seen the friend zone as like, what I think of it to be is like someone has just told you that they're not interested in you like that, and they would rather remain friends.
Okay.
That's plainly what it is. Yeah, that's generally it's a smaller form of rejection, right? Because it's like or I guess in someone else's way, it would be like, because I'm assuming at that point they probably have not confessed or something like that, right? So it's like they may have confessed or they may not have confessed in that situation. But I don't know. That's just how I always saw it. I feel like because I feel like people who put people in the friend zone. I mean, for me, once I put you there, like I'm not thinking. All I have in my head is that I know you like me, which is fine. That's okay. But as long as you can respect me as your friend, or like if you can respect whatever I do from this point on, like you cannot be upset about it. Like we can remain friends. And obviously, I feel like that's just how it is. Like it's just a friend zone. You're put in a friend box. That means that nothing will happen.
Yeah.
You have to come to that realization.
But the non-believers were basically saying that it's just us complaining about relationships, which is true. Some people did complain.
What did they complain? How?
Like the people who were victims to the friend zone complain that, oh, I'm always put in the friend zone. Nobody likes me.
I mean,
yada, yada, yada. Like I can see.
It's okay to complain. Why do people think it's so wrong to just complain?
I don't know. I guess
some people take it as complaining, and some others are taking it as just naming it or expressing what it is.
Yeah.
Because that right there, that I'm always put in the friend zone, that's probably a call for help.
Okay.
And it's an irritation. Like I'm tired of females putting me in, or males putting me in this like box of a friend. Like I don't always want to be your friend. Like I'm so much more than that. Like I would be irritated too. I would complain. Well, it's true. It's not. It's not like a complaint. It's you expressing yourself, because I'm pretty sure these people who don't believe in the friend zone are people that are getting what they need to get in a relationship. They're getting a relationship. They're getting people who like them. They're talking. They're confessing themselves, and people are saying, "Yeah, I like you too."
Yeah.
So of course, you're not gonna. You have to see it from both views.
Okay. I guess for the conversators and the rest of the audience out there, definitely comment below if you think the friend zone exists or not. I know it's an old school way of thinking.
Listen, it should exist. All right, just
definitely share your thoughts. I want to hear what people.
Because if it doesn't exist, what's there? What else is there?
I guess people are just like, there's no friend zone. They're just friends. Like the friend zone, like that concept is like.
Listen.
The
bars. It's on a bar, okay? There are boxes. It's like categorizing people. Like,
that's how, yeah.
That's like what? It's like categorizing people. You're your friend, and once I put you, it's like you have this line of people lined up, right? And you're like, okay, this person comes into your space, and they tell you that they like you, and you're like, no. It's like potential, not potential. Like you categorize stuff. How else are we gonna get through life? My brain would be boggled. I mean, I guess if we didn't have categories, people would just be going on about their life probably happily.
Definitely.
But we live in a real world, so.
Do you have any
can't put no imaginary bubbles.
Advice for people who are in the friend zone?
In the friend zone?
Yeah.
I've friend zoned people, and I feel like it's probably very difficult. Or people, there are also people who just automatically friend zone themselves. Like, I don't know. I feel like.
You think the friend zone is a mentality? Because some people can be like.
Yeah.
I'm in a friend zone, but if you choose not to be friends with this person, you're not in the friend zone anymore. But that doesn't mean you have the relationship. So.
Oh my God! No, honestly, you bring up a very good point. Like a very valid, because I feel like there have been instances where people have liked me, but they haven't expressed it. Friends, they like me, but they haven't expressed it because I was either in a relationship or they just felt like it would work. So like they didn't even bother confessing. They just friend zoned themselves. Like You didn't show me that you liked me. You didn't do certain things. Like, I feel like that you can do both. Like, you can be friend zoned and you can just automatically put yourself there in the same space, which is interesting. But
yeah, think of it as a mentality. I feel like
it is.
if you're placed in such an environment, we're going to use that, the environment of platonic relationships, I think that you have a choice. You can still decide to stay friends with this person if you really care about this person.
Yeah.
And you believe that you can move on. Well, if you can't, be selfish. Care for yourself. Self-care is important. And if you don't think you can manage your feelings about this person, walk away. Move on. It's easier said than done. But once you move on, it's a relief. It's a breath of fresh air.
Man, you're gonna get through it.
Yeah.
You have to get through the rocks, the roller coasters, the bumps, the bruises. Like, I feel like when you're in the moment, it obviously feels like hell. Like, it feels like the worst thing that could possibly happen. But I feel like over time, you start to you gain parts of yourself back.
Definitely.
I feel like that's like, I feel like with any moment, like with any sad moment or with any like heartbreaking moment, like I feel like you start to gain parts of yourself back. Like, you might be sad for a day, 2, 3, 4, but I feel like after a while you just sit there and you're like you have to live. You have to live.
Definitely. That's the motto. You have to live.
Like, you have to live.
Recognize that you are the captain of your ship, and this is just temporary. Rejection is just temporary.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're gonna find somebody, and if you work on yourself, if you work on who you are as a person, relationships will come.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you don't think about it, it will eventually happen. Somebody you find may like you. Somebody you find may like what you did for them, or what you do as a person, what you do in your work life. As long as you put yourself out there, you're surrounded by people you care about, and you share good vibes with people, I feel like that energy will reciprocate, and definitely live your life.
Yeah. I mean, because life is hard, but there's a lot of fun things to do when you get older.
I think that's it for the rejection side. If you guys have any else you think we've missed or you wanted us to add, definitely comment below. Or, share our Instagrams.
Yeah, your experiences. Because, I mean, we don't all have the same experience.
We definitely don't. Some people are beautiful. Some people are mean. And so...
Oh my gosh! And with that, we're just gonna move on to the acceptance portion.
So we can move on to acceptance. You've confessed, and the person was like, "You know what? I like you too." Oh my God! Have you felt that?
Like, people have liked me,
and you liked them back.
Yeah, I'm like,
how was the magic? How did that magic feel?
Oh, it feels nice in the moment. It's like, oh, you have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend. Like, I think it's a very good internal feeling, right? Because you're in, like, I feel like when you first start dating, or like when you're in high school and like, that type of age and stuff, they consider it puppy dog love, right? Like, you're in the puppy dog love phase. Like, you don't really, it's like they don't think of it to be anything real. Like, they think of it to be something that, like, yes, it's gonna be all sweet and dandy and so wonderful, for however long it needs to be, right? But I think it's a good feeling. Like, I'm pretty sure people who confess, you can probably speak, like, if you confessed yourself and someone said yes, and then you're like, oh jeez, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, facts.
I'm saying, she just said yes. Like, did you just say yes? Yeah. I feel like that's a good feeling. Like, for you and the other person.
Yeah.
Like, it feels, obviously, in general, it just feels good to be accepted. Like, for someone to want you, for someone to be interested in you.
It's an all-around positive feeling. I mean, I'm trying to remember the last time I've been accepted. I mean, that was when I was 18, and I asked this girl out, and then yada yada yada, lost my virginity, right? So during that moment, where you're looking at me
I'm just listening.
like that. So yes, I lost my virginity when I was 18, and I was in college at the time. But that transition between high school and college, I firmly believed I was going to be single for the rest of my life. So guess what I did? I got, I made myself interested, right? I picked up new hobbies. I got into photography, um, and I decided to like start a blog on Tumblr. I don't know. Is Tumblr got it? Rest in peace if it did.
Twitter's a good thing now.
But yeah, I decided to start a new blog, and then I wanted to capture the experiences of African American women in New York City and their experiences of racism. So I would snap a pic, and then I would do like a short interview. And so I got about, I think, 3 people, and then the third person was the person I wanted to ask out. And then at that time, I was like, this may not work out, but you know, what the hell? So confessing was easier for me, right? And then there's no reason for you to be petty, Miss Flirt.
Who's being petty?
This is the simp evolving, you know, the simp realizing that he's become an executive.
You're still a simp.
I'm not giving my money to anybody, I'm making the money this time.
Oh, you making the money this time?
I'm making the money.
Oh, okay.
And so
must have been wonderful.
so when I confessed, I wasn't really ever expecting anything. And so when she said yes, I was like, what do I do now?
I'm sorry.
I didn't think that far. I was like, I was expecting to know. And that wasn't even my self-esteem. I was just like, I wasn't really thinking about it. So I wasn't prepared for her to be like, okay, yeah, I'm interested. What's up? Like, yo, she actually accepted me. How, what do I do now? I'm not too sure if everyone has been in this situation, but that's the question. What do we do?
What do you do after?
Yeah, after you've been accepted, what do you think? Do you start planning dates? Do you start?
Yeah, you do what any other couple does. I feel like people typically, obviously, the kiss is coming some point, right?
Yeah.
The kiss is gonna come.
Do you kiss that moment then when they accept?
You don't. That's too fast. What are you gonna lock lips for? No, you work to that. You work to that. You have to work to that because there's pecks, there's tongue. So you have to figure out you want to really lock lips with this person at this point. Nobody's thinking of that unless y'all are very freaky and very. Then at that point, he's just infatuated with your body, or she's just. That's just too quick. Relax, calm down.
Okay.
Like because there's a point where you need to talk, you need to have some conversation. I feel like a lot of times, and then people start, they start holding their hands, they walk down the hallway, like you do a lot of like things together. Yeah. And like you have certain conversations. I feel like the marriage conversations pick up after that, or the kid conversations. Oh, how many kids do you want? I see our little kid. Then all the sweet little conversations come in.
Definitely. I definitely feel like it's definitely an awkward time. Nobody's like perfect at
you just keep talking.
Maybe when you're adults and you're like super experienced, like those relationships definitely will look different. When you're young, like there's definitely an awkward stage. Like you gotta get to know this person.
I think that's what you do. I think that's what people mainly do a lot of. Like you're either getting to them or you're trying to get up in their pants. One or the other.
So I feel like number one priority is just talk to this person.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the conversation has to start somewhere, and then I feel like all the other moves will just come along the way. Because I feel like you'll find out, like maybe you guys like to go to the park. You're like, oh, maybe we should go to the park someday, or maybe we should play ball together. Like those little things pop up out of nowhere.
Definitely. That can definitely be a nice day. Like people think like movies and dinner
What could
I
be
mean, dinner is nice. You know, you can talk over food, but definitely don't try a movie. Try like a walk in the park. You know, get some ice cream. Make the intimacy the day. You know.
Yeah, I think that's what they do a lot.
Yeah.
It's like for just being together.
Mm.
You know, like they be stuff like glue.
You think it's an important question to ask the person you're trying to get to know?
An important question.
Yeah. Like what's a must do?
Nah. You know, I'm an observer. So like I like to watch people and the way they move and interact and certain things like that. That's I don't know. I don't ask too many questions because you could give me an answer, but your actions say a total difference.
Okay.
Right? So I can ask you, but I would hate for you to lie to me.
Mm.
So I feel like if you're gonna ask them any questions, like you can probably potentially just ask them questions that are like burning in your mind, and you're like, damn, I want to know the answer to it. But I feel like people will show themselves to you over time.
Yeah.
Like you won't even have to ask a question. Like you'll just know by the way that they move.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
important. I'm throwing that out there. Our conversators out there, just be very observant.
Yeah.
I feel like that's important.
And by the way, we know conversate is not a word.
Yeah, we're just
So don't comment and be like, yo, dude, I'm gonna stop watching this podcast. These niggas said
we just
conversate.
That's what we're
We've
calling
created
it.
the word, alright? We out here creating black owned businesses.
Yeah, that's just our word. That's what we're calling you.
Yeah. So besides that, I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there.
No problem.
But okay.
Why? Do you think there's an important question? Like, what question could you possibly have to ask someone?
No, I mean, I meant it more of like a question you feel like this person is really going to think about their answer. I guess mine would be, I have one. Like I'm trying to reword it, rephrase it.
He's in the work.
It'll come back to me.
But yeah, I mean, I just feel like people, and I guess that's because I'm just a silent observer. Like I just need to see what you're gonna do.
I mean, for me, I feel like I would ask one important question is like, do you believe this relationship is gonna work?
That's a little.
What is that?
Because I feel like when you first start dating, of course you'll believe it's gonna work. You gotta let the outside forces come in and try to bottle with it first.
I feel like with that question,
because I feel like that's an ongoing question. You could ask that question at any point.
But when you hit that with them in the first time, I feel like you can grasp how these people, how your partner thinks. Like there's somebody that might be like you just now. I just like, I don't want to really answer that. But if somebody who really was like into the relationship, I'd be like, yes, I do, and this is why I believe it would work. And they'll probably explain what they can do. They probably, talk about how they would support you, make sure that whenever you're feeling down, they're there for you. Whenever you need somebody to help in any type of situation, they will take the part to help you out. I don't know. I just feel like it depends on the person.
Yeah, and I was going to say that. Like, it heavily depends on the person and it depends on how they speak. Who's expressing that? Come on now, let's be real. I'm sitting there, they're like, you ask them, you think this relationship, of course it's going to work. I'm going to do everything I need to make sure that we stay together. I'm going to make sure that you are always happy. I don't want to see you cry. I don't like we have to realistically think about who's actually sitting there expressing this to someone right now. I mean, it would be wonderful. Yeah, please ask that question and see what they say. If they're dumbfounded, then they haven't thought that far ahead. But you know what I was thinking when you asked that question? I'm like, maybe you should have asked them that before you were interested in them. Or at the point when you decided to confess yourself, because it's like you can ask someone. I feel like a good question: do you expect this to go long term, or are you expecting this to just be a short fling? Mm. What is this? That's the magical question right there.
The way that question is phrased, that starts the heart. So that's why I feel like the way I approach
was better,
more peaceful.
So what's
more palatable.
So since you said, do you expect this? So how would you phrase that for hood slang type of? How could you ask that question to like someone who is a project baby?
We'll get back to you after these brief messages. Next phrase. I'm sorry, I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, it's different. I feel like
because I can't. Like realistically speaking, if I was to go back to my young days as a coquette and go, do you think this relationship's gonna last?
You don't have to talk like that. I mean, if you
do you think this is gonna last? And they'd be like, what relationship? What is this? Then that's where the what is this comes into. So how can you? I feel like that's an important question to ask, right? Mm-hmm. How can we rephrase that? What is this question? How can a girl feel comfortable? How can a coquette feel comfortable pursuing or however she wants to do? What can she ask instead of what is this? Because you ask that, of course it gets the heart pumping. That's why they come with these questions and they're like, what are you talking about? We're just chilling. We're cool. People they don't want to use those real words. They don't want to use the words of like, we are friends with benefits or they don't want to name it. Why?
I feel like, yeah, there's people that aren't comfortable with those terms, friends with benefits, with your sex partners.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're just setting yourself for failure if you're not honest with those feelings.
Yeah.
Right? And so I know with intentions, like knowing that somebody's going to get turned off once they hear those terms. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it would be better for the both of them. And it would be healthier if you can communicate that. Like, I like you, but I just don't want to take anything too seriously right now. Mm-hmm. And if you're, not to say that it's going to solve everything,
at least you'll get an idea.
Yeah, you get an idea and you can frame this relationship. Okay, this relationship might be short term. He just wants to smash. And your expectations can get settled. Yeah. Instead of thinking that this man is going to like love you forever. And then next thing you know, he hit it 3 times and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like definitely speak to your partner. Get to know this person after the acceptance. And don't go too hard on the dates. You don't need heavy dates. Especially when you start dating, right?
Like going out?
Yeah, like you're going to take her to like Rockefeller Center, rooftop.
Calm down. We don't need all that.
Yeah.
Don't be Netflix and chilling though. How about it? What are you doing that for? Mm-hmm.
What? Next phase. We're going to start about dating. Phase 3.
Yeah.
The pinnacle of everything.
Yeah. So let them know what you're considering. I mean, we probably already spoke up on it. Probably.
What do you mean?
But just to reframe it back, what you're considering the frame of dating.
So dating is the period of time where yes, you've accepted, and you guys have officially determined that you're exclusive. No one else is in the picture, unless you're polyamorous. But right now we're talking about monogamous relationships. Yeah. Since I'm not too sure if you know as much about polyamory.
I keep myself
single.
Yeah, very single.
Yeah, you have officially said that you're exclusive. What now? How do you feel like in your exclusive relationships?
I feel like I feel like it's always been somewhat well, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean...
As a flirter, it's been well for you? Hmm? You let these dudes chase?
You saying, what are you saying? Because when but no, you know what it is? Okay, so let's put it this way. For a flirter, I feel like it's difficult because you have to cut these other people off. So be mindful of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to, there's this point where since you've accepted this person and you're exclusive, you have to, I wouldn't say friend zone these other people, but you have to let them know that you're in a relationship and that you're off limits. Unless you want to continue to be a coquette and keep these guys on the side.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning that. I'm not condoning that. But I feel like it's been fine. Depending if you're with someone, if clearly you flirted with this person at this point, so you probably still flirt with them. So it's probably you still get your, what do you call it? It's like you're taking your medicine. You get your
daily dose.
You get your daily dose off. So it's not that big of a deal.
You sound like a drug addict.
No, it's you were drug addict being a simp.
Former simp. Get that correct. Thank you. My drug in that case was basically, I mean, I got most of my experiences in college, especially with dating. I mean, the first time that lasted about a week. And so even though she accepted, I didn't do my due diligence in terms of like communicating and, matching our personalities. Like, those are the things I didn't think about. As you can tell, when she accepted, I was like, oh shit. And so I really had to manage my feelings. I realized like dating, I didn't want to be too overbearing because I knew at that point I was still a sensitive guy. But at the same time, I didn't want to be like emotionless. So I had to like, it was difficult for me to like find the middle ground. Was there like a part of a relationship that you found difficult?
I feel like, which is funny, you get into flirting with people as a coquette, and I feel like those flirt with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, because we're referring to dating, like real actual dating. I feel like it was mainly like high school it started. I feel like obviously there were probably some, like I had a puppy dog love probably in like middle school going into high school or so.
Yeah.
Like I feel like obviously that was a thing. And he's a little bit older. And I felt like, obviously it felt like at that point, like, I mean, between the middle school and high school, I feel like that was a point of me, like I was chasing really, which was interesting because that wasn't what I was doing initially. So it was interesting in that portion. And then I feel like in high school when I was dating, that one person, I feel like the hardest part, and I'll just name it, like I'm average, right? And it's like good looking people.
Yeah.
That other people are gonna want your person. And I feel like there's always this form of competition, and it's like you have to sit there and like you just hope that person will stay with you, right? Like that they won't cheat on you. Of course, I've been cheated on multiple times in my face. Like that's probably the most disrespectful thing you could ever do to someone. And I feel like a big portion of this that I like. Speaking of this, this whole like worrying if someone's cheating on you. I feel like, and I was getting butterflies. It didn't matter. Like, and it was interesting because, they named these butterflies to be like, oh, you're in love, like you give me butterflies. Like what? I've had nervous butterflies. I don't know if those exist. I've never had the good butterflies. Yeah. I never had the good butterflies that people were referring to. I felt like when I did get into a nice, good relationship, I mean, you're the only one. But it's so annoying. When I did get into that kind of relationship, I didn't feel any butterflies. Like I felt at ease. I felt peace. Like I genuinely felt happy on the inside. Like it wasn't butterflies. But I feel like you have to for the conversators out there, really lean into your butterflies. Like, are they these good butterflies that people are calling it to be, or are they genuinely nervous butterflies? Like the butterflies that like you just know you're like, damn, I know he's cheating. Damn, I know there's another girl. Like, listen to those thoughts and those processes, and they might not be honest with you at that point. Like, they might not come to a point where it's like that they let you know that they're cheating on you, because who's gonna outright do that? But I feel like during that time, and like the on and off and the on and off, and I would advise anyone, do not keep going back. If they do something to you the first time, they meant it. Like, they meant it, and it's sad and it's hard to accept, but for the fact that someone could cheat on you and disrespect you like that, I think they don't respect you at all. Like, that's a bit deep. Like, they didn't think about you. You just became an inconsiderate soul to them. Like, you just didn't even be a thought in their mind. Because there's a step you can take before you cheat on someone. You can just outright tell them that you're not interested anymore, or like you just couldn't, like, there's like certain things you can do before that. So I feel like there's a lot of things that can happen after this acceptance, and you're now dating. There's a lot of bumps that can happen during that portion that like it's not always all sweet and dandy. Like, it's really like some sad stuff going on. Like, your heart it can be broken, and you just have to.
I mean, that brings up the point of like protecting yourself, right? I don't think people generally think about protecting themselves, because a relationship is supposed to be almost like a safe haven. You trust this person because they reciprocate your feelings and you feel like you have a connection with this person. But at the same time, just make sure that when you start dating, that this person is really a trustworthy person. Unless you've been friends with this person for a really long time and you develop that trust and you constructed it. If you're dating this relatively a stranger, it's not a bad thing to think about yourself before you think about that person. If they showing any red flags, or if they aren't acting the way you thought they would be acting in a relationship, definitely take that time to reflect and think about yourself before this person breaks your heart. And I know that's another thing that's easier said than done, but it's important to make sure you're in the right hands, because you're placing a part of your being into this person's hands. Like, you're giving trust to this person. So I think it will do justice if you take things slow, and you gradually give this person your trust. Don't give everything at once. I know it may feel easy because your emotions are on a high, you're in a honeymoon phase, and you don't feel like you guys feel invincible. But at the same time, depending on like how you guys developed your situation, whether or not you guys were strangers, it's completely different from whether or not you guys started as friends first and then got into a relationship. But even in that environment or instance, you can still get your trust broken. But I would say if you guys started as friends, that person has built their resume, and you can determine whether or not this resume fits your job description, so to speak.
I mean, that's hard. I feel like your feelings are so strong for some people. Like, you could be very gullible and blind to certain things, just because you don't want to believe something. That's difficult. It's dangerous.
It's definitely dangerous. And I don't think a lot of people recognize that level of danger. Like, relationships can literally make people snap.
Yeah.
literally make people shoot somebody, hurt somebody out of just pure jealousy, hatred, resentment. Like you've seen these things online, and I'm pretty sure they started because the relationship got bad, or she took my man from me, and
That's it.
my girl cheated on me, so I gotta kill this dude.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, like for that cheating portion, I feel like you can't blame her, or you can't blame whoever. You cannot blame the person they cheated with. You have to blame them.
Yeah.
It's like they knew you were in this. They were in this.
I mean, we say that, and I feel like people are still gonna blame the party because it was like you knew this person was in a relationship.
They're just right though. I mean, for some situations, you could. I feel like I feel like it would depend on what they know.
Yeah.
What did they know that you existed, or was this just some random person from doesn't even go in either one of your circles, and he just didn't happen to, or she just didn't happen to express that they were in a relationship? Then whose fault is that? That's his or hers, right? So it's like thinking about that. I don't know if it just please don't be blind, don't be gullible. I feel like if you're young right now, and I know it's very difficult, but you have to. It's hard to accept what's in your face, and I feel like you have to be honest with yourself if you want to keep your sanity and your soul and the good parts of you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what I've done for the most part, like I've been mean on purpose just because of those situations.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not what I want it to be. It's just how those experiences happen to make me. And I feel like if you're watching this, do not be blind, do not be gullible. Name what you're looking at, name what's happening to you, and then get out of it immediately. No matter how damaging it might feel, it's just going to get worse if you let it prolong. It's going to get worse.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's not going to be happy for you in any way or form.
I mean, I would say one positive in terms of like a new relationship can be obviously you're gonna have to get to know this person,
which is always wonderful.
It's always, I mean, like anything new is always wonderful, but I guess it comes to the point of like, how do we take things slowly, make sure that things warm up. You don't want to make things too hot because then things can get burned. When you gradually warm something up, it's thoroughly cooked, and you become the best chef that you can be.
Yeah, I mean,
how can somebody take things slowly, control themselves, and
I feel like a big part of that is just communication, really.
Yeah.
Like you have to figure out what you're comfortable with in a space. I mean, you have to just be honest, like at some certain point.
Yeah.
Like obviously within those first 6 months, you're gonna want to have sex. This is a real thing. But I feel like you have to have that conversation first, or you have to bring it up. Like it has to be brought up. It might come out wrong to someone, to the person that you're trying to tell it to, but it has to be brought up.
Yeah.
And like you have to understand your comfortability level and then their comfortability level, and like think about it. Or like if you literally need to sit there and set dates, like we can do this in 3 months, then okay, like that's fine. But I feel like communication is the biggest part of it because you can't make decisions on your own at that point.
Yeah.
Like that, it just doesn't work like that.
Definitely. Do you feel like when people put like time limits on their sexual intimacy, should that be stated before a relationship is started?
That's a good one. Listen, I think you have to gonna rewind and backtrack on that one.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would depend on what that person deems as important in a relationship.
Yeah.
If you know they're a very sexual being, which you can clearly get that from people from the beginning, right? If you know that they were like that, and then you decide, you want to wait till marriage to have sex, like, I mean, if you're not going to give it, they're going to get it from somewhere else. So you have to think about that. And that's just the reality of the situation. Like, some people will not wait. or they'll wait, but that's long. Like they'll be like, what the hell? Like, how I'm waiting that long? You didn't even tell me. Like,
or there's also an instance where they wait, and then it's not what
it's the most trashiest thing that they wanted it to be, and who would
recognize the risks?
Yeah, so I feel like, see, that's where the consideration part comes in, because it's like, if you know that this person is a sexual being, you have to let them know that that's what you plan to do beforehand, because they may not want to sit there and go through it, or you may just be like, you might inform them, and then they'll be like, and then you'll probably just hit them with the, let me know how it's going for you. Or something might change, and you might change your mind, and then you'd be like, maybe I didn't want to, maybe I just want to push it to like right now. And I think but what's the big part in that communication? I feel you have to talk about it. Like a conversation has to be brought up about it. I feel like if you know that there are certain non-negotiables that you have in a relationship, that needs to be put out in the front, the very forefront. Like there should be no waiting for like it to pop up or for a question to be asked about it. I feel like that's what prolongs the foolishness. Like, because people will tell you, like, you know, you'll get someone and they're like, you could have told me this 3 months ago. Oh, you're right. Like, I literally could have told you this 3 months ago. Like, you could have told me, and you just wasted 3 months of our time. So, like, don't waste anybody's time. Like, just if you have like some really hard found negotiables, non-negotiables, put it right there at the beginning of the relationship. As soon as they accept it, get that as a conversation within the week or so.
Definitely.
Like, let them know what you're thinking and how you are. I mean, and I don't know. I feel like that's the best option you can go for.
I mean, I feel like with these ideas, there's always people that have like different levels of intensity with the way they approach relationships. Some people are just like they just want to have fun. So everything we're saying right now is like irrelevant to whether or not their needs right now.
Yeah, but that's a non-negotiable. They just want to chill. Let me know.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, there's people that want to actually date and they are struggling.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult because there's all of these like requirements, and some people just feel like they're entitled to their choices, right? So if you do have non-negotiables, just make sure that it's stated. It's going to be unfortunate if that person decides, okay, this is not what I want, but at the same time, that doesn't waste your time. Yeah. Your time is valuable.
Listen.
And you don't want to waste time on somebody that wants to have sex right now, and you want to wait at least like 90 days.
That's the
And like it's difficult because I mean some people just find sex to be really important. So I don't want to tell that person that their feelings are irrelevant, but at the same time they have to recognize that sex is like a demand nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find people who are willing to wait. So you have to be ready to be searching for somebody if that's really important for you. You have to recognize that if you have really controversial non-negotiables like sex or religion, those are going to take a while for you to find somebody because not everybody's going to agree with your ideas and ideologies.
Yeah, at that point you just gotta find somebody in that path. You have to literally. Because I mean, like, I feel like a big part of what it comes with, you know, that's why I said that. You remember we spoke about the whole comfortability level since we're talking about sex. Like, don't force yourself to do things that you don't want to do. Like, you have to be 100% wanting for this to happen. I feel like that's huge because you could regret doing something in the beginning and then right then and there the relationship just goes downhill just because of that one incident. Which is terrible. It's just heartbreaking. Like, if that didn't happen, what would it look like?
I mean,
first 6 months.
Definitely the first 6 months can make or break a relationship. And as a former simp, I just want to note that self-reflection is key. Communication is the driving force. Because without that, our relationship wouldn't have worked out. And patience. Patience is underrated. Not a lot of people have that.
I think they're like, yeah, they like to speed past.
Yeah.
Or like speed through,
or like if there's a problem, this is it.
Yeah, this.
Yeah. Like
don't like you.
Like, pretty much. That definitely was me. And I felt like that came from my mentality of like I was never really accepted during my simp days. And if this relationship doesn't work out, that's fine. Gemise graciously like taught me the idea of patience of like working through problems and working through situations that seem to be dire and seem to be unresolvable in a certain. And so when you take the time to like talk to your partner and really talk about like, yo, this doesn't bother me. This doesn't bother me. This bothers me. What can we do about this? If your partner is willing to hear you out and like listen to your complaints and make sure that you're feeling better at the end of the day, take that time and talk to them.
I was just gonna really quickly just let you know how long we've been dating.
Oh, how long have we been dating?
I don't know.
You brought it up, so you say it.
But it's been 2 years, a little over 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And so
we're just saying that because we're speaking of these first 6 months. So
definitely,
we've been through it.
Yeah, we've definitely been through it, and none of it was easy.
Yeah, I feel like a big part of that is you have to remove your old ways in some forms.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like remembering walking away.
That is a great. Like, if you have like toxic traits, I mean, some people may find that attractive. We get it.
No,
but
that's
we're
not
talking
cute.
To like
that's
the people that
when
want,
a relationship starts.
We're talking to the people that want a healthy relationship.
Like you have to remove parts of your old ways, like, and it's difficult. It's hard, but like if you want this person, you really have to like, and if it bothers them, you have to respect that. Like you have to just stop.
Definitely. I mean, if it's something that you know that your character can live without, like it's not a hardcore trait. Like whenever she got upset, she used to walk away.
Yeah.
From like the conversation, that would get me upset because that just means like the potential of it being resolved disappeared because she walked away.
I'm annoyed. I'm irritated.
Right.
I'm just done and over with it.
And my toxic trait was just giving up really easily. And that led to the same result. The potential of it being resolved disappeared. And so I knew that that's something that I had to work on. So don't take this as, what's the phrase? Like, it's not something where somebody's forcing you to be someone you don't want to be.
No, but it's forcing you to be, if you want to be with that person and it's bothering them, I feel like it's forcing you to be in a space where this person can feel comfortable enough to be with you.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's what it is. Like, yes, it's something that you do. Yes, it's a part of you. But if you want this person and you want to make this work, and you know it's toxic, like it's an actually toxic thing.
Yeah.
To the relationship, I feel like you'll try to let it go no matter what.
Definitely.
Because there's like certain things. I mean, like I'm still mean.
She still has some of her traits, but it's
just less.
It's more of me learning who she is, and then me understanding where that corner of her personality came from. So those are more manageable, but things as dire as of like walking away from a conversation.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And don't give up easily. Like if you really like this person,
Fight.
definitely fight. And if that person makes you realize how important they are to you, that's probably a person that you want to keep in your life, whether it's in a relationship or as a friendship. You know? You have anything else to say about phase 3 and beyond?
I don't know. I just feel like the work is hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's still like we're still work. Like I
Yeah.
feel like you work on it every single day.
I don't feel like
I feel definitely less arguments.
yeah, definitely less arguments, but it's always a learning moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the grace of patience is to realize that once you're able to communicate
Your feelings,
your emotions, and you trust this person to understand that,
yeah,
you guys can work it out. That part would be easy, and then the rest just comes following. Yeah. And I guess with that, that's our spiel from a former simp and Madame Coquette. And if you guys don't know what a coquette is, look it up. I mean, she said the adjective.
Yeah, it's a woman who flirts. I'm not a coquette anymore. Okay, please understand that.
Yeah, it's a French term for a woman who flirts. I just thought it would be a nice way to.
I mean, I flirt with him, but that's it.
I just thought it would be a nice way to not call her a hoe or something, derogatory. The coquette is like a positive way to, a sexy way, if you will, to denote a woman who likes to flirt and likes to, play around with men.
Play around with them.
You used to.
Oh, I play around with them.
I don't know. Let's end this episode right now.
Yeah, don't mind that I'm about to slap you for.
You guys can find us on Google Play, Spotify, YouTube,
Apple,
Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
Spotify, Google Play. I think that's
you said
right.
that already. On everything. Okay?
Yeah, we're literally on everything.
We're there.
Definitely download, show some support, hit the gong on YouTube.com.
Like, let us know for any topics.
Definitely. We have
whether you want between us, you want it between a group.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely open ears for feedback.
Yeah.
And we just want to improve and increase our community of conversators.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nah, it was nice.
It was nice. I like this. Nice calm episode. We got some food, we got some drinks. Nice quiet ASMR.
Yeah.
Bang.
Happy the conversators are. You just take one piece of information from this, just one.
Yeah, definitely.
So that if you're younger, you understand what will come or what you need to do, what you need to be working on.
Definitely don't take our advice as like finality.
No, this is
just our experiences.
Like the scientists when they do trial and error, when they have they do the placebos. These are the placebos. Okay. That's what that is.
Experiment.
Then it's an experiment. You have to experiment with this information. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. That's just you. But we're just letting you know.
We're not self-proclaimed.
These are the things that we've learned, that we have learned, right? That those certain things. Don't be blind. Please, ladies, do not be blind. Don't be
guys.
vulnerable.
Don't be a Derek Jackson. All right.
On that dude.
All right, people. Keep it easy and stay conversative.